Hey everyone, let's dive right into this explainer where we're going to demystify the operating system behind healthy, ethical organizations. Whenever we hear the term corporate governance, it's super easy to picture giant, dusty legal textbooks or incredibly boring boardroom meetings. But at its core, governance is simply the framework of rules, relationships, systems, and processes that direct and control a company. Today, we're breaking down the 9 foundational principles that actually make this whole system work.
Instead of just a dry list of rules, we've organized these 9 principles into a clear playbook. We'll cover what corporate governance is, ethics, fairness, and discipline, power and accountability, performance, rules and rewards, profitability meeting sustainability, and finally, transparency and some final thoughts.
Section 1. What is corporate governance? The source of the playbook.
We're pulling today's framework straight from the Institute of Governance and Research. And what's really brilliant about their approach is that they don't just hand you isolated buzzwords. They actually pair concepts together. Because let's be real, in business, an isolated idea usually falls flat. Real success comes from balancing interconnected forces. So throughout this explainer, you're going to see how a business absolutely has to balance power with responsibility and ambition with discipline to achieve lasting success.
All right, Section 2. Ethics, fairness, and discipline. The moral compass. So our first pair is integrity with independence. Notice how these two concepts are completely joined at the hip. You literally cannot have true integrity if leaders aren't totally independent when they make decisions. Sure, directors are mandated to act in the absolute best interests of the business, right? But what if they have conflicting external interests? Or what if someone else is pulling their strings? Poof, that independence vanishes. And the second advantage is integrity is deeply compromised. Next up is equity with fairness. When we look at a company's strategy or its systems, they can't just be rigged to favor one specific group. You got to balance the scales for everyone involved, all the stakeholders. Because everyone in that ecosystem has rights they're entitled to, responsibilities they have to carry out, and rewards they should get for putting in the work. Think about it. If a system demands a ton of responsibility from you but gives 0 rewards or rights in return, yeah, that's incredibly unfair and it will eventually break down. Rounding out our moral compass is conduct with discipline. This is a firm commitment from the top down to behave in a way that is globally recognized as morally proper. We're not just talking about finding legal loopholes in one specific region, because, well, we all know a little too much creative accounting usually lands a company in a true crime documentary. It's about holding leaders to an international standard of moral correctness. Real discipline means doing the right thing even when cutting corners looks like a much faster path to profit. Moving right along to Section 3, Power and Accountability, the engine room. Here we tackle authority with responsibility. Top management absolutely needs the authority to act. They have to steer the ship, craft the strategy, and lead. But, and here is the massive catch, they only hold that power as responsible agents for the shareholders. Their main job is to perform in those shareholders' best interests. You see, authority without responsibility, that's just tyranny. And responsibility without authority? Complete paralysis. They absolutely must exist together. Which leads us straight into actions with accountability. You can't just hand over the keys and hope for the best, right? Leaders have to own their decisions, especially with strategy. And how do we actually enforce that? By measuring them against predetermined performance targets. Notice that word, predetermined. You can't just move the goalposts after a bad quarter to make everything look fine. Leaders own their actions, and for sure, they own the outcomes. Section 4. Performance, Rules, and Rewards. The execution. Okay, performance with conformance. This is basically the ultimate corporate tightrope. On one side, you have performance, executing the strategy, creating wealth. It's literally why businesses exist. But on the flip side, you have conformance. Leaders have to make sure all that wealth creation happens strictly within the rules. We're talking accounting policies, laws, reporting standards, the whole shebang. You absolutely cannot sacrifice conformance just to hit a flashy performance goal. So how do you motivate people to execute the right way? Rewards with results. You ensure people are paid for actually doing a fantastic job, not just for keeping a fancy chair warm because of their job title. Pay shouldn't be based solely on where you sit on the org chart. It's absolutely crucial to measure and reward directors, management, and employees based on their individual performance and the actual tangible results they deliver. And let's emphasize why this is a make-or-break concept. Businesses don't operate in a vacuum. It is fierce out there. Good performance and real results aren't just nice-to-haves. They are absolute requirements to succeed, or, honestly, just to survive. Tying rewards directly to actual results is a survival mechanism. Because at the end of the day, a business cannot pay the electricity bill with a world's best boss mog.
All right, Section 5, Profitability meets Sustainability, the big picture. Check out this really powerful quote from the Institute. A business has not only a responsibility to its shareholders, but also the larger community of which it is part. This perfectly captures profitability with sustainability. It totally shatters that outdated idea that a company's only reason for existing is to make money for its owners. It explicitly says, hey, you have a dual responsibility. Yes, to the shareholders, but equally to the community that surrounds and supports you. And this broader responsibility flows right out of a company's economic performance. For real, long-term, sustainable success, an organization has to look way past the balance sheet. They have to actively tackle social issues, health issues, and environmental impacts. Think about it. You just can't maintain profitability for decades if you're trashing the environment or hurting the very community you operate in. True sustainability is the whole package. And our final section, Section 6, Transparency and Final Thoughts, Connecting the Dots.
Our final principle is communications with transparency. Without this, honestly, the entire playbook just falls apart. Transparency means having really easy access to important information. Shareholders and stakeholders need to see the real data so they can accurately assess how the business is doing. They shouldn't have to hire a detective to dig through obscure filings or decode bizarre corporate jargon. Clear communication means everyone actually knows if the company is balancing integrity, performance, and sustainability.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought to really chew on. Look at your own workplace, or the companies you invest in, or even just the brands you buy from every single day. Do they successfully balance profitability with their responsibility to the wider community? Knowing these 9 principles gives you a completely new lens to see right through the corporate veil. So, keep questioning, keep digging, and I hope this playbook helps you navigate the business world with a whole lot more clarity.